All right, members, I'm moving to key finding number 4, the misuse of the tax exempt status. I have a couple of questions on this. Could the university indicate how long this practice has existed where the university has used its tax exempt status to facilitate the importation of goods for private companies? That's the first question.
Mr. Chairman, we are only aware of the ones highlighted by the Auditor General and the dates as stated. I know that the Jamaica Customs is doing their investigation because in one of the instances highlighted by the Auditor General, the payments or the processing was not done by finance or the procurement department or anyone internally.
Yes. I'm about to ask the follow-up because Mrs. Copperfield looked at me and was about to say, what can go so? So can you elaborate on that?
Well, the one that did not come through the process, actually, we have gotten a report from Customs as the one of the 4 that the Auditor General highlighted. So we have gotten that report. They have stated just on Friday that the amount of duty that should have been paid, and I think the Auditor General also did an estimate or something, is approximately $10 million. But there is also penalties, and the penalties range from 500,000 at a minimum to 3 times the CIF value, and the CIF value is approximately 4 million. So it would be like 120 plus the 10, which is about 130 million would be the maximum that would be charged to us.
Can you state what I'm trying to understand? There was obviously a practice to facilitate some companies who seem to have had a relationship with the university, whether they were providing goods or services. At best, could say maybe it's a informal arrangement, right? My question is, what would have necessitated the university using its tax exempt status for these companies?
Mr. Chairman, I was not there, as you know.
I know. Yes.
I have spoken to different team members. They are not aware as to why, and therefore I am unable to say the reason why it was done. Because in as I said, in at least one case, they had no record. In others, as the Auditor General has highlighted, that the hospital paid for like a broker fee and other fees, but in one in particular, nothing was paid for, or it didn't go through even any process at all. There's no record really of it. And it's not our goods. Based on the customs declaration, goods did not belong to the hospital and were not a part of the hospital assets. In more than one, you do have that happening in terms of not being ours. Ownership is not
You're
ours.
saying in more than one case that is the case?
Ownership is not ours. In fact, in none of the cases, even though in the case where we the crockery, we purchased it from the individual after the importation, and in the case of the garbage bins, we purchased those. But the other 2 cases, the asset was not purchased by us, even from a third part, a person who would have brought them in.
So in 2 cases, these were providers providing services to the university. The university facilitated using the tax exempt status to bring these things in, and then the university paid the same provider for the goods.
Yes.
So, all right.
Because we did not purchase the item, the item was not paid for overseas by the university.
So why, okay, so
Yes, Chair.
So in a case like that, why wouldn't the university simply bring in the things on its own behalf?
I'm unable to say, Chair, why the hospital chose this route and not purchase the item themselves. I'm unable to say why. And none of the officers that are there were able to explain to me why.
Member Brown?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So the first question I want to ask on this particular issue as it relates to the misuse of the tax exempt status, the Auditor General in her findings said companies. Can you, because I think it is in your purview to name, and she mentioned private company 1, private company 2, private company 3, private company 4. Can you tell the committee, and that's my first question, what are the names of private company 1, private company 2, private company 3, private company 4?
I know that the Auditor General redacted the names.
I'm not directing the question to the Auditor General, I'm directing the question to you.
I'm answering,
Yes.
answering, member. And we know that the matter is under
The
investigation.
matter is under investigation for one company, and I'm going to get to that. So
It's under investigation for all, but only one. In one case, and I
just want to hear the names of the companies.
I can give you the name of the one that the work has been completed by customs, and they have actually given us the report with the one name.
No, I don't think that is acceptable, because I don't know. Did you issue the name? Because the name came out there before the customs report, as far as I know. So I'm asking the university hospital, through you as a CEO, to provide the names. This has nothing to do with the investigation.
Do you know the names?
Do you know the names of the 4 companies?
Do you know
I will seek guidance on releasing all the names, member, but I can share the name of the one that we have gotten the report of.
I'm not asking you for the name of the one, but because why is there secrecy around naming all the 4? And how come the country heard of this one long before customs and things would have gotten the information from the university hospital? So I'm just asking you here, what are the names? This is my question.
Do you know the names? Do you know the names?
Can you repeat that, member?
Do you know the names?
No, I am no.
Yes or no?
Now the question is the name of the 4 companies that benefited from the tax exempt status.
I know that the Integrity Commission has the file. The names, as would have been seen by the Auditor General, were seen by us also. But in terms of the completion of the investigation, one has been completed.
Are the investigations around the named company, which that name was in the public space for months? Were those companies?
We didn't release any names, We have not released any names even to this point.
Well, you're saying you know of one, and you can name one for investigations
based on the report from the customs, which I have here, I can state what customs have stated as being the one company.
What has customs stated without naming the company? What is the summary of the findings of customs' investigation in relation to that entity?
No, but I think, Chairman, before we go there, though, so the university is unable to name the 4 entities that have all benefited from the misuse as defined by the Auditor General's findings. Misuse of the tax exempt status. You can't name, you refuse to name, because I don't think the response about Integrity Commission prevents you from naming who those entities are.
Okay, let me just answer the chairman's question and I'll come to you. I'm just making sure I get the correct name of the names. All right, I'll get in that. But the chairman asked, what did they report from customs state, right? Third-party verification from the name company with the assistance of the CEO of that company, that one, the goods were imported and these are the dialysis machines. One, the goods were imported by the company, the goods were paid for by the company, the value of the goods was verified by way of payment records received from the company, custody of the goods was verified to be that of the company, and the address, and that it was not, and the company confirmed that the goods were in fact imported for that company by the university. The name of the companies are Supreme Laundry Services, Willman's Sales,
What's that?
Willman's Sale, like Willman, WILLMAN, Sales, SALES, Scientific Medical Services, and Jack Den Limited.
Thank you very much, CEO. Chairman, I want to proceed now to, so what is clear is that the university hospital have been, whether or not this is to utilize my friend's good phrase earlier, Ron, whether this is institutionalized, the CEO can't say whether the use of the tax exemption status is an institutionalized way of how the UE has been operating. But what is clear is that it is more than one company as named. Secondly, the responding to the Auditor General's finding, your letter, I believe both the Permanent Secretary's letter as well as your response was that the documents have been submitted to both the Jamaica Customs Agency as well as the just Jamaica Constabulary Force. Have all four instances, those four named companies, were those documents submitted for all four?
We have given them copies of the document for all four.
For all four. Okay. All right.
Based on what we have, as I said, there are instances where we would not have the documents because it was done outside of the hospital.
All right. So you're saying that you have now received the investigations that customs have been undertaking, having received the four matters raised here by the Auditor General for the four companies. You have submitted all four, but you have only received their reports on one.
On one.
So
the
country,
far, they have said that they will actually provide the penalties for that one, because what we have done, they have completed their assessment and determined that there was a 10 million due should have been paid for that one.
Yes.
And that they will provide us with the penalties, if any. Well, they said there's a minimum of 500, so there will be a penalty. They will provide that to us in short order, and the other reports will be provided to us in short order also.
Okay, so we will await.
Yeah, as we say. So again, as the follow-up, the committee would need, once you have been given that information by customs, the committee would like a report on what customs has found in terms of its investigation into all four and whatever remedies they have recommended for those companies to deal with it, the specific breaches.
Okay, just to be clear, Chair, Customs has made it very clear to us that they have nothing to do with those companies. We are the ones, the hospital is the one who they are holding accountable to pay all charges and fines. As to where we will get the money from, it is.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, they didn't, these companies didn't, it's your tax exemption that was utilized.
It is a hospital name that is on the importation documents, and therefore they are holding the importer as being accountable.
So that is why we want to understand, and that's why I probably have to come back, because it is not one company, it is four. And this is based on the findings from the AG, who, as she said, it's a minute subset or sample that was taken of the operators of the UE. So we don't know if as my friend said, this is institutionalized or if it is systemic. So that is why, Chair, we have to come back to see. So this is just probably tip of the iceberg. But I proceed. In terms of deep diving a little bit, and I know you sir, are here only since January. I'm looking at page 10 of the actual Auditor General 72-page report. And there are a couple of things that I want clarity on. And this is as it relates to private company 3. And it is also related to private company 4 because I see permeating through this misuse of the tax exempt. So I want to understand a buyback, right? There is this buying back. So you give them the tax exempt, and then they went and procured or brought the stuff in, and then we are buying it back. Well, not we, the University Hospital is buying it back, sometimes tenfold. So for example, waste bins for private company 4. It says here was valued at 6.6 million. The company saved 3 million by virtue of the tax exemption. So they paid roughly 3.6. But then the hospital bought back that from private company 4 for 11 million. So I just want to understand. I want to understand why, as the chairman would have asked earlier, why didn't you just utilize your tax exemption in the first instance to buy the thing? And why is this buyback about? There's also, I think, private company 3, cups and dishes, imported for 1.4 million, and then the will buy it back again for 6.9. So the country has heard about, and there's been glorification and publication around one entity when there are 4 companies, when it's possible it has been institutionalized and the utilization of the tax exemption is a conventional practice between you and its partners. But this buyback, what it is about and who is benefiting, because it's 1.4 and right back at 6.9. So this company, private company 4, has made 3 or 4 times profit. Private company 3 has made 10-fold profit. So I just want clarity on that, CEO, because it looks really bad, but perhaps there is some explanation to it that some of us can't really understand.
Based on what you have shared, member, it would have, based on what you have said and what the Auditor General has stated, it is extremely bad. However, I cannot tell you why it was done.
Is there anybody else here who could tell us why?
I can tell you none of the senior leadership here or even in the hospital have been able to share or to say why it was just done.
Why are we buying back? Who is making money? What is this? And who? Yes.
Can we have a time limit?
I mean, we're not here for the entire member. Now, I'm asking all my pertinent questions, Member Cuthbert. No,
it's not critical. Member Cuthbert, we do have Parliament sitting at 2.
That's
and
right.
These issues have to be fully ventilated. And I'll give everybody an opportunity to talk. Everybody.
Yeah, so there's nobody who can help us with this buyback to understand the rationale behind the buyback and who are the beneficiaries.
The persons may purchase items and then sell the hospital and have their markup. And therefore, I don't know.
Who authorized these buybacks, though? You have no knowledge of who is within the university hospital who would have been authorizing these buybacks.
The matter, as I said, Chair, I have to be very careful because, as I said, this is before the police and also before customs and integrity commission. And Mr. Chair, I don't want to say reasons. I would prefer them with their investigative skills to do the assessment and make the determination through the due process, whether it be court or otherwise.
But all right, first I want to welcome. There are 49 students from Dunrobin Primary. Welcome to the Parliament of Jamaica. This is the Public Accounts Committee meeting. We are not going to have a sitting of the full Parliament, but you're welcome to continue to watch and observe in silence the proceedings of this committee. This committee is set up to deal with reports from our Auditor General, and our Auditor General is seated to my left, Mrs. Pamela Monroe Ellis, and we are examining an audit report done on the University Hospital of the West Indies. All right? Okay.